thank you guys all for coming tonight. Basically, how we're going to be doing this event is a standard round table discussion. I have everybody organized as such. Before we go over introductions, I will go over the rules. How we're going to be doing this round table discussion is very simple. We're going to go around the table in this counterclockwise circle that we kind of have haphazardly set up. It looks like a bat right now, but we will go around that order from myself being the starting point and around. When it is your turn, you're free to talk, free to say whatever is on the topic. Do not interrupt other people when it is not your turn. Very simple. That's why if you want to question that previous person, wait till your turn, or you want to question further people, wait till your turn. I am trying to keep this as friendly as possible. I don't want this becoming a hate fest. I don't want this becoming, anything anti-Hammer Point. This is trying to have a positive outcome. For rules, we are trying to keep this under M rating. We're trying to keep profanity to a minimal. If you have to say it, you don't really have to say it, but anything else you'd like to add, Marky, for rules you should consider based on your stream?
Oh, don't worry about it. I'll let it, yeah, it'll be good.
Alright. Alright, as of now, I will do some introductions for all of us. Let's see. Myself, I am known as AgentNorth, through forums and in-game, for any of you guys that have met me. I do YouTube and whatnot. And as a stance on War Z, I'm very neutral. I'm a big fan of the War Z. I do like the game, but my current thoughts are that the game is decreasing in playability with some of the updates and whatnot. The next person we have in line is Super Goku Man. If you would like to introduce yourself.
So I'm Goku Man too, I guess, but as you can see, my username is Niuqorram because I've recently changed that, but I'm still known as Super Goku Man too. So I first joined this game when it released. A few weeks before I learned about it through Yahoo Answers. I just asked, is there a game besides Daisy, because I can't play that, and they told me about this game. I played it, and at the beginning I thought it was nice, but as time went by it just got worse and worse until this point. So I guess here I am discussing what I think about the game. Next.
Next we have Marky Dragon with us.
Hello everybody, Marky Dragon here, of course. Local YouTuber, War Z fan. I do think that War Z is a very good game, and I think that it has the potential for greatness. So anything I can do to help that along, I am willing, and I have high hopes for the game, but it's up to the administration of the game as to how things proceed.
Next up is Morealivethandead.
Hi, I'm Morealivethandead. I actually really love this game since October 15 and the Flashlight Wars, and that's pretty much right. And I like the Frenzy as well. And I'll try to keep off the profanity stuff.
All good. Next up we got Derpy Hooves.
Yeah, so I'm Derpy Hooves. I bought the game as soon as it came out for pre-order, and I've played pretty much every day since the start of the alpha. Yeah, since it got released, I've seen some very good things out of it, but also a lot of bad things, and I hope with this we can at least give our feedback to the devs and hope something happens about it.
Next we got nzgirl.
I'm nzgirl. I'm an ex-forum moderator, and I've had the game since it was pre-released in October. I think it's a great game, but I think there's a lot of things that need to be improved, and a lot of things that really need done to make it an even better game.
Quirky, you're up.
Alright, my name's Quirky. Obviously, everyone's pretty much said exactly how I feel. The game has a lot of potential, but yeah, it's just lacking in certain ways that hopefully the developers can change. So I've been around since obviously the game was first released, and yeah, just hoping it can improve really, and hopefully our input here will see some change.
Alrighty, and then we have Momomack.
Hello, ladies and gents. I'm Momomack, thanks agent. Many of you will probably have seen me on the forums. If not, no doubt you'll see me around and about. I'm a relative Warzy Switzerland. I'm neutral. I do love the game. I think it's got some great potential, especially within the genre that Hammerpoint have chosen. I do think that there are certain things, both on a technical and ethical side, that need to be addressed, however, in order to get the game forward. So hopefully with this discussion we'll manage to accomplish that.
Thank you. Next up, we have JeepJeep.
Hello.
Hey,
Amazing JeepJeep, I can't top that.
Is that all you got to say?
All I got, man. I'm JeepJeep. How you guys doing?
Alright. Next, we got Sugabug.
Hi, I'm Sugabug, and I'm a Gamers Platoon staff member. Been playing since day one when we were asked to give Warzy a try. We're always promoting new games, and I've been hopeful since day one, but over the past couple of months, that hope has been dwindling. So I really am hoping we can bring something from these roundtable discussions.
Alrighty, and I thank all of you guys for joining us tonight. The main setup guys with me are Morealivethandead and JeepJeep. You know, this initially was not my idea. It was an idea from JeepJeep, and I was very enthusiastic about it. And you know, I do thank him for this, because hopefully, like Sugar said, we can get some good from this tonight and get some notification feedback at least. I'll move on to our next little thing. I'm going to give us a little outlook on what we're going to be discussing tonight. I do want to discuss a lot of the past updates that have been more recent, such as loot and the private servers. I do want to discuss a little bit about the hacking situation. I know we're trying to keep that to a minimal. We aren't trying to break any guidelines, but you know, it is a problem and it does need discussed. From there, we will furtherly discuss private servers. Actually, I don't know what many of you guys think, but you know, the rental price the prices and the lack of you know, of meat inside of that, you know, package was very minimal. From there, we will discuss much of what we consider a lack of communication from the developers in patch notes and updates. You know, they've been very unheard on the forums for where most of us come from, and I feel like we are not notified and what we should be in some of these updates. We will continue from there with the re-release of on Steam, and your thoughts and what you guys think that this could you know, help do or not do, and the trouble it may cause. After that, after we finish all of that, any time we have left for any side topics you feel need discussed is perfect. Any questions from you guys?
I'm good, brother.
No.
Yeah, none from me.
Nope.
Nope.
Alrighty, we'll take this further away. I will pull up my game now. Alrighty, sorry, it's going to take me a little bit to load this up, but I should be good. Or in-game. Do any of you need food or water, by the way, those of you who are with us in here?
Not yet.
Alrighty. Alright, well, we'll take it away with our first part of the discussion, loot. And I am trying to keep this, you know, summarized as much as possible. For the most part, I feel that loot has been improved with the, you know, testing and whatnot. I also feel that, you know, it should have been dealt with prior, considering this is considered a foundation release, more of not an alpha anymore. It shouldn't be tested while we are, you know, now playing. One of my biggest issues was when the server rentals came out, was that the loot was almost non-existent weapons-wise, and even now, after it's been, you know, patched up a little bit and we are finding guns, we're not finding backpacks and ammo. and that's rather upsetting to me. And I do hope this is not overlooked, and I do hope the loot is balanced at some point. That is all I really have to say about loot. Like I said, I am looking on a positive note. It is improving. Goku man, anything you got to say about loot, man?
Well, basically it all started out with them saying they talked about this new loot change for a long time, saying, "Oh, don't worry, we're gonna have a really big loot change in this patch. It's gonna be really great." And it finally came, and it's when they kind of screwed it up, and we wouldn't find any loot whatsoever, and it seemed like private servers didn't have anything at all, nothing, and not even the most basic stuff. So they started improving on it, but didn't tell us anything. They just all of a sudden, like 3 days straight of forum complaints, and they didn't say anything. And then randomly they pop up a little hotfix saying, "Oh, we're gonna fix loot spawns," and when they could have perfectly just said, "Guys, we're gonna fix this," but they didn't. So right now they've adjusted loot spawns several times, and it's definitely improving. But I still think that the way it was when it started was better than how it is right now.
Right. I do agree with that there. Marky, anything you'd like to voice about loot?
Well, just that on the public servers, it's a little bit hard to get good loot, and the reason is because you die before you get it back anywhere or put it to good use. And on the private servers, I found that the loot is pretty good, but it probably, in the public sense, needs to be a, we need more of the items that are kind of required for basic survival and combat, backpacks, primary weapons, and stuff like that. But on the private servers, man, I've scored like 5 scars in the last week. I plan to use them tomorrow, too.
Scars are quite a lot of fun. Thank you for that, Marky. Morealivethandead, what do you have to say for loot?
Well, that's going to be quite long. I do think that the loot politics from Hammer Point right now is just the same as like that's going to be on your next topic in the agenda, if I remember. I think they actually nerf the loot up and down to keep up the hype. Just like they actually seemingly like don't care about the hacking issues. I think that at this stage, I just remember paying $65 and like loot was pretty cool and stuff like that. And then 3 days after, it all changed. And for a week, I was actually thinking, I can't use profanity, right? So I was just thinking like, well, there's no point to it. I mean, why would I pay $65 just to be looking for a grocery? That's not even as good as The Sims. And if I come back to the first time they did a very brilliant loot spawn was on the 21st of December. I do remember because that's when I started to server hop Boulder. And I can see waves. And I do also remember Cook mentioning at one time, and I'm talking about 2 months after we officially left the alpha phase, never went through beta, and then it's foundation release, where I've got like the forum admin or whatever it is saying that they are still like collecting data, right? Like doing data analytics, which to me is completely inconsistent with a game that is like launched and actually sold out as a game that it's a game. And I see like every few days the loot changing, and it always comes around phases that are very specific for consumer, right? So I do think that actually the loot, I don't think, I mean, like, because I was at a point like wondering if they were just like a bunch of noobs. I just don't think they are. It's actually like there's a politics behind it. It's a politics of consumerism, which I actually understand as a business model. On the other hand, I mean, like, I don't think it's very clever on the long term because they basically have lost like a player base, and the player base is just gonna dwindle just because of that, because like it's frustration after frustration. And I'd be like, for each topic you're gonna announce, agent, that's gonna be the same message. I do think there is like politics behind the loot, and I think it's ridiculous to be. It's a game that is based on the shooter engine, and we basically they had like all those hordes of zombies, and we didn't have a weapon. And even if you had like a melee weapon, I dare any one of you guys trying to survive the airport. I mean, you could do that obviously if you were like dragging the hordes out of the place and stuff like that. But basically killing them, I mean, that was like wow. So that's my opinion on the loot. It should be better. It should like actually reflect what it is. And I do think the ammo nerfing is like a blatant intent of us consuming like as much ammo as we can. We cannot say there's no ammo like we could say that like a few weeks ago, because right now for each settlement you will find at least one ammo. I've tested it through and through. But it's just a joke. I mean, like, wherever it comes up, you don't know what's gonna happen in the next 3 days or a week. So you can come back to Grocery Z, like, tomorrow. And I reckon, like, a week before we renew, when they fix the renewal, when we renew the servers, we'll have, like, the most awesome loot quality we can dream of. That's what's gonna happen. I mean, mark my word right now. That was my input. I didn't want to see profanity. I didn't even try. Wow.
You did very, very well, given your track
thank you.
record.
That was fantastic. We'll move on to our next guy.
I'm gonna
Derpy. Derpy, do you have any?
Yeah, I think that when they adjusted the loot, they didn't play test that at all. They're using us as their testers, which is good to an extent, but they should at least play test it some themselves, which they obviously don't do with a lot of patches they put out. Like for instance, at the beginning you couldn't find any weapon whatsoever, and now you can't find any backpack whatsoever. They keep nerfing loot spawns way too hard, and I think they're doing it on purpose. They keep switching between the items. Yeah, that's pretty much all I had to say.
No, that's a good view, man. Thank you. We'll move on to NZ. NZ, what are your thoughts about the loot, if any?
I think when they changed the loot spawns, they need to tell the community. Like when private servers were up and everyone was like, there's no guns. And Sergey came onto the forums and was like, nothing has been changed with the loot. And everyone's like, well, that's bullshit because, sorry for swearing, we haven't found any guns or anything. And this game, Sergey told us it's not pay to win, and at the moment with no ammo being spawned, it seems like with the increased amount of guns there is, that they want us to buy ammo for the guns. And so I think that's a bit silly.
I agree with you completely. Thank you for that. We'll move on to Quirky then.
Well, I mean, everyone's pretty much said exactly how I feel. Ammo is pretty scarce. I mean, my personal experience, I found 2 scars, about 6 M4s and a blazer at the airport, and no ammo whatsoever. It just seems quite absurd, really, to have so many guns and so little ammo. Also with the loot, I know a couple of people have also brought this up. Smallville Police Station doesn't have any loot whatsoever. I don't know what's gone on there. Hopefully that gets fixed. But yeah, it just seems like people are having to buy the ammo instead of finding it, and you know, it's just really silly. Hopefully they tweak it about a bit and we can see some improvements. But like I said, everyone's pretty much said what I feel.
It is agreed. There's, like I said, I did want to keep this topic to a minimal, and a lot of us are thinking the same on loot. I am seeing that. But on to our next person, Momomack. Anything you have to add to the equation?
So, loot. Wow. Where to start off a topic that's going to get everyone divided? What can we say about current loot that hasn't been said by everyone in here already? I think like pretty much everything we discussed tonight is going to divide a lot of people. Do I agree on the ninja nerfs? Absolutely not. Did I feel or do I feel before the private server rentals became available, before people were allowed to buy them, was loot at a ratio that the majority felt was okay? I think so. I think there were very minimal complaints regarding the loot before the server rentals went up. What Derpy alluded to in his description, are we being treated as an effective, PTR kind of thing, like what Blizzard do before expansion release? Absolutely, I think so. I don't agree that a game, whether it be in alpha, beta, foundation, that's to each and everyone's own opinion. Do I agree, or do I think that a game that is now again available on Steam, and that is in fact a release title, do I agree that the developers are not testing the loot, or testing changes they've made to the game before making it available to the community within the public server domain and the private server domain? I don't think that's fair. I don't think it's right. I think Hammerpoint, and with all respect to whatever respective size their development hub is, I think there does need to be a certain amount of testing, which obviously hasn't taken place before these things are put into the public domain. I mean, you only had to be on the forums for less than an hour, after that patch or that hotfix, to really see the effect that it had on the community. A lot of people were very annoyed about it. It took them an extremely long time, in real time to actually implement a fix for that. And it really shouldn't be that hard. There was a long time before a fix was made for what generally, and this is my sort of facts and figures. There's no basis behind this. In my opinion, around 80% of the people were vehemently against, the ninja nerfs and the loot spawns. And even so, even now we're getting back to a level of, respectability for the loot, and a lot of people are sort of enjoying it in some sense more. There are still, things that need to be addressed. We've had weapon spawns, both collectively and individually, fluctuate to such a degree it's now getting to be beyond stupid. Have we seen any reflection in the changes of weapons within the ammo spawns? Absolutely not. Is there now, in this current build status of the game, a very big aspect of pay to win with ammo being available on the marketplace? Absolutely. It's now got to a point where I'm seeing many members of the community who used to be vehemently against the pay to win side, or used to at least take the opinion that wasn't what Hammerpoint were wanting to go in, or that wasn't the direction they wanted to go in, and now turning around to other people within the forum and within the public domain, be it on Steam or be it on other forums around the web. There's not enough ammo, and the general answer coming back from some people is, well, why don't you just buy it? Go onto the marketplace and buy it. It's available to buy. I mean, that's not how it should be. Yes, we all respect that we're in a survival MMO. We all acknowledge that there will be a somewhat shortage of ammo, but to the extent that it is, and then to have that available as a huge factor within the survival, available for purchase in real life money, I don't think that's correct. I don't think that's right at all. I think the loot really needs to be adjusted, or at least, in my opinion, to get to a level where you have the majority of the community are happy. And I think that's what Hammerpoint are failing to realise, is that the majority of the community are not happy. And that it's only going to be detrimental, whether it be in the short or long run. You have to appease the people that pay you and play your game. Otherwise, you may as well not bother with any loot. So yeah, that's my opinion on it.
I do agree with a lot of that. And
so come at me, everyone. Yeah,
input.
That's about it.
That was fantastic, man. Thank you. We'll move on to our next guy, Jeep. Do you have anything additional to add on to this?
Well, a lot that's already been said, I agree with. My biggest issue, I think, pertaining to the loot, is the simple mechanics of how the system works or doesn't work. There doesn't seem to be any type of intellectual reasoning behind it, where the system thinks on its own based on how many people are in a server, how many people are in the game, and then delegates X amount of loot spawns. It all seems like it's fiddled with behind the scenes, predetermined what's going to go in there, manipulated as such. And that's when you got to ask yourself, when we go through things like we did a couple weeks ago, when the game was absolutely barren of any meaningful loot, what was their reasoning and logic behind that? And then I asked myself, will this loot situation ever actually get resolved? Because if they always have to be fiddling with it and adjusting to it, that means they're always going to have to be fiddling and adjusting with it. The number of players that are playing today is going to be different than it was the day before and tomorrow. So the loot that's spawning today isn't going to be an accurate representation of the perceived or presumed gameplay style that they want to put forward, survival or whatnot. If 30% of the people don't play tomorrow that play today, there's going to be an influx of loot everywhere. If that number increases the day before, but they've adjusted based on the decrease the day prior, then all of a sudden we're going to be back to barren. So either they're going to be constantly, damn near every day, every week, fiddling with the loot, or they just need to basically say, this is exactly what the loot's going to be. Condition yourselves for it. If you don't like it, okay, sorry we disappointed you on this front. If you do like it, enjoy it. But there's no way I can foresee them getting ahead of the curve when this game is so based on the fluctuation of people going in and out of servers, in and out of the games. Too many dynamic changes that occur. I cannot see them putting forth a loot package spawn rate that's going to work universally completely. So I think we're going to constantly be hit with these inadvertent garbage spawn times, which, ironically, as others have touched on, will really help them probably along the sides of the marketplace, which I have to wonder, is that part of the intent behind doing this? But it just, to me, the whole system, unfortunately, is crap. And it's broken, and whether it's intentional or not, I don't know. That would just be speculation on my part. But I just don't see it working at any junction. I think it's just going to be an ongoing issue where we'll have 2 weeks where 70% of the people say loot's great, 30% says it sucks. Then another 2 weeks where 50% say it sucks, 50%. I know you're never going to be able to please everybody all the time. That's just common sense. But at some point, you have to have your player base become conditioned in what to expect, especially when you're asking them to make monetary commitments to things like private servers, strongholds, stuff like that. Because when somebody rents a private server for $60, $70, $80, whatever, and then they find out the next day there's absolutely no loot to be had, and they're just basically walking around collecting ham and water, that's sticking it to somebody, you know? And it's also sticking it to the players that bought the game at any junction during the time they bought the game. So my biggest issue with the loot is the fact is I think from top to bottom, the system is a farce and it's broken.
Right. And I do agree with you. It is a system that needs to be worked on. I will add a side note. We have another guy joining us right now, Resnorock. Thank you for joining us, Res. Glad to see you actually were able to make it. As of right now, I will add you right behind Suga rather than, in the current place, and I will give you the details right now. Marky, are you streaming the chat right now, or just in game right now?
I'm only showing in game, unless
right,
you're talking about the in-game chat that's being shown. No,
not the in-game chat. I'm going to type in the regular chat. We did type in the servers. Have sad things. Anyway, someone who knows the server info, just type that in Dolby chat for me. Jeep, thank you again. We'll move on to our next one. Suga, what is your input on the loot?
Well, in the beginning, when we first started playing this game, it didn't seem like loot was that bad. I know that they were patching every day, every other day, and it seemed like we were finding new guns, new items, and they were all pretty decent, exciting, and I remember it staying that way up until we started having a huge hacker problem. And when I first noticed that we had a bigger problem than just the hackers is when they said they were going to do the wipe. Once the wipe happened, it seems like it's been downhill for loot since then. It's like they can't get it right. And I know before the wipe, they were doing a lot of things. It seemed like they were testing, and we were being provided with a lot of items that made the gameplay actually fun. So my question is on loot, why is it that they were doing fine before the hacker situation, before the wipe, and ever since then it's like we're being punished?
And it really does seem that way. I do agree with you. I don't really agree as much to the being punished factor, but as much as, we are...
I feel punished.
We are the ones in which are, suffering.
Having fun.
I'm not saying anything to that.
I'm just not having as much fun as when we first started playing. And, the hackers is one thing. Every game has hackers, but Hammer Point could have done something to... I mean, the servers could have come in a lot sooner. The strongholds could have come in a lot sooner. There could have been something to do, to deal with the hacking situation. But as far as the loot goes, I don't know why they keep taking away instead of putting in. Just makes no sense to me.
I think in regards to things like the loot and the stronghold server, I think even the loot, has a stem within it. Things like the stronghold servers, things about certain things like vehicles, and we will be bringing up on stuff like content that's missing later on, I would hope. I think they're all relative to one certain factor, or certainly one overlying factor above all others that may contribute in some form towards it, which I think primarily is most likely the engine. And there's a lot of negative press and some positive press that's gone around the engine. I think it's something that we may want to press on, whether it be in a large or small way a little bit later, because it's certainly something I'd like to say in regards of the engine and the general build of the game.
Right, and I will add that, we can add that to our final discussion topic, because I did forget to add one initial one. This first part of our discussion, which is supposed to be shortest, ended up taking a little longer. Rez, since you did join us, do you have anything you'd like to say about the loot, on what you think, on what you would want to hope?
Well, it seems to me that here and there, whenever people start being a little more content with the loot, that they go ahead and start balancing it out again and altering it. And even when they do that, or when everybody's content with it, it seems like there's no balance to the loot tables. We're always missing out on something. I think that's probably because the loot spawn points are, there's just not enough of them. I mean, personally, as long as I can find firearms, I'm generally happy with it. We're either going to end up with finding firearms or ammo, and the other's going to be rare.
Right. And, I do agree that you said something about there's not enough spawn points, and it is true. There is a lot of lacking spawn points, and the areas where loot should spawn, but nothing spawns in. And, we will close this topic. Do any of you guys have anything you'd like to add to anybody that has currently added additions to the chat?
No.
Well, I'd just like to say that something that's been going on here with the game that really bothers me is typically a game is you buy it, you pay a monthly subscription, or it's free to play and it's microtransactions. And the problem here is that we don't have enough loot in the game, and we've got all of these things trying to monetize the game. And so it's a bit overkill. We're having to pay too much for our fun. And
I agree.
Either we buy the game and maybe there's it can't be all of this stuff at the same time. When we buy something in the game, it's to make our lives easier, not because it's necessary. And
exactly.
Especially when you buy the game. Yep. And so that's my only feeling about it, is that, like right now I'm having to buy backpacks because I can't find them. And backpacks just aren't that I do find just aren't big enough to go out and kill everybody. So, and ammo, I'm having a hard time finding ammo. In fact, I'm just throwing away guns now when I run out of ammo. And,
I do the same thing.
So
I think everybody's doing the same.
But I am
throw away guns now.
I am buying C-mags, and I'm paying what it's about $1.40 for them or something like that, and it's fine and dandy. I do that from a Saturday play, but I don't want to be forced to do that to bring enough ammo. So I would rather, if I'm willing to spend the time in the game to play to find the stuff, that I can find it. If I don't have enough time, then I can spend money to equate the time. But they're double dipping, and that's what I don't like.
It seems to me they can't really make a decision as to whether, what kind of business route they're going to take with it. And they already jumped in with, here, you buy the game and that's all you have to do, rather than making it free to play right off the bat and then having the market. And they're trying to do both at the same time.
I actually disagree. I actually do think that they made like the optimum decision on cashing in. You buy the game between like whatever it was, like $15 to $60, and then like you pay for a server, and then you also pay through microtransaction. This is all money here.
Yeah, anybody who's paying for a server should not be paying for any loot whatsoever for anything they need.
Yeah, I mean that's basically what you're doing. I mean, like the $65 you cover for a month is basically for you to actually not pay the same items like in the marketplace, but they still cash in onto you because like you still need ammo. Because like, and I do think there's a recurring strategy behind it, because most of the people that maybe it didn't turn out as they wanted, but I do think their plan was basically, given that price range, like most of the people that could afford it would be groups such as clans, and they were actually, I mean, that's obviously, I mean, like, there's no ground to it. That's just like an assumption from that side, but I do think that what they were like planning on was like having clans actually paying for a server and then doing clan warfare, and like, they would actually cash in onto the amount of ammo that would be needed for PvP, because one of the great thing of the game is actually PvP. I mean, like I know that like some people in the community is asking for PvE. And you can even see that it's reluctantly that they're actually adding that option of PvE, because they never thought about it. I mean, they actually don't care about it. So I do think that like, it's treble benefits for them here. I mean, like the initial fee you're paying, and then the server.
Triples, right.
And then like the ammo or whatever. I mean, like, because that's the question I raised like a while ago. I mean, just figure that you just pay for the game and you go onto a public server. I mean, this is a complete nightmare. I mean, even for people with a lot of experience, that we know how to sneak out of a hacker's view because you don't have your primary in your hands or stuff like that, or you don't. Do you know what I mean? But it's a nightmare. I mean, like the experience of Agent with like that his experience he will like talk about later on. It is like. Public servers right now are just unplayable, and that's what Marky pointed out. Like, you stay there 2 or 3 minutes and you're basically dead. So you don't even have time to actually collect any, like, items. So you cannot actually basically play on public server. I mean, like, someone paying $15 and going on public server is not going to play a game. He's just paying $15 to get basically, I can't say the proper word here because no profanity, so you know what I mean.
I do want to cut you short. We are cutting into other topics that I was hoping not to cut into, until we moved on to that point. But you guys raised a lot of points. One of the biggest issues we did have was when they originally nerfed loots the first time, and everybody couldn't find anything. What did that promote the most was PvP. There was a lot more prone to kill on sight when loot was nerfed the first time, and that became a problem. When loot was nerfed again, what happened? More PvP was promoted again, and it became more of a danger zone when we would want to collect items. I'm all for PvP. I like PvP, but when you don't have a weapon to defend yourself with because of the loot being nerfed is definitely a problem. As of now, anything else you guys would like to add to loot, or can we move on to the next topic?
I think they should make loot available for Zombie Cash as well as GC.
Yes, definitely.
Fantastic idea.
Yep.
Then it gives an option of people to access it in the marketplace
Agreed.
Yeah.
by going zombie
I
hunting.
agree with that completely. I actually,
Yeah.
just, my closing comment on pertaining to loot actually also corresponds with gold coins. I personally think with everything that's going on in the game right now, especially with the cheating, particularly when it was at its height, and they did not have any type of anti-cheat employed at the time or anything. I almost found it, well, I didn't almost, I found it unethical for them to even sell anything with gold coins.
I agree.
Because it was just, you've bred this environment. The mechanics of the game is that you lose something permanently. You had this massive rash of cheating, but yet your marketplace was continuously being updated, and that was a long-going joke on the forums that I proudly took part of a lot, was that the marketplace was the only damn thing getting regularly updated and worked to some proficiency level. That's all you would see is new things popping up. Marketplace, oh, expanded. Oh, you'd walk on next day, oh, the marketplace looking good, Meantime, everybody's getting blasted from 500 meters away with a pistol, and they're like, oh, we're continuing our ongoing efforts, but yet their real efforts were putting more crap on the marketplace. And so you would have people walking into this game, and there are a lot of people that play this game that don't partake in the forums, so they're not very informed on a lot of issues. They would go into the marketplace, wouldn't understand the mechanics of the game, blow through all their gold coins by getting this, and this, and then 20 seconds later they're dead. And then you would see their
Right.
posts on the forums being like, hey, do I get that stuff back or stuff? And people like, ha ha ha, so there was the gold coins to me need to be completely eliminated, if you ask me. But it was to a point where I was so disturbed by it from an ethical standpoint when they had absolutely no control, and to some degree they still don't, of this game, but they continued to monetize items with real money, not just their in-game currency. And yeah, that's pretty much all I got to say to that.
I think that's why a lot of people later on in the discussion, no doubt, we will draw some comparison in some form towards the War Inc., be it talking about the engine, talking about animation, gameplay, etc. One thing that a lot of people from, not necessarily those that have played War Z, but certainly those that have played War Inc., stated before they left the game or before it fell into the disrepair that it is at the moment, that pretty much the only updates that were coming towards the end of that game's lifespan were ones that directly monetized the game. It wasn't a case of content for the sake of content to appease the community. It was content that was purely relative on finances coming from the community, and that was it. And I think that's what drew a lot of comparisons. I think that you reach a very valid subject in saying that for a large portion of this game's current lifespan, many of the implemented fixes or many of the the things that have become available are directly centered or revolve around transactions. Not content that is generally there to improve the game, such as the content that was advertised upon release.
Right.
Yeah. That's sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Agent. That's a great point. And another thing that's chapped my ass about this gold coin thing is, even though it said in the inception of the game that there was going to be some way for the players to earn gold coins, that has yet to come about. I mean, there's multiple ways for us to spend them, but there's absolutely no way for us to earn them. So to me, yeah.
I do want to cut into this topic. We are cutting into other topics, so I will revolve us into the next topic. I'm sorry if I have to cut any of you guys off. I do agree with a lot of what's been said, and a lot of it is true, and to an extent that many of us do agree with that. I will finish up. This is not a free-to-play. Well, yeah, this is not a free-to-play game. We do all have to spend money on it. I don't feel that we should pay with microtransactions. I don't feel that's a deed that we should have to do. I did like the in-game currency of dollars. I do like that because it makes us feel like we are earning something as killing zombies and is more rewarding. But onto that, we will move on to the next topic, hackers. We are keeping this very vague as we are not trying to, come at this, but for the most part, the cheating problem has steadily gotten worse and worse over the past couple of months. The game is joked around about as Hacker Z right now because you cannot get on a public server without getting aimbotted from 1,000 meters away. And it's true. I welcome any of you guys to go into one of the 100-player public servers, any of the public servers. It is really ridiculous. One of the newest things that have now sprouted about is players with zombie character skins that are invincible. So there's this god mode and this other thing. They're killing the game. They really are. I've experienced this firsthand where I went to go shoot this guy. He would not die, and he ended up having his little friend come over and hit me. There was a statistic done that over 60% of the users of War Z are cheating, and I fully do believe this statistics. Sorry about that. You'll get on any public server, and it just feels like you're outnumbered by the amount of cheaters. There is no leveled playing field anymore. I do realize a couple of the streamers have been taking breaks due to this problem, and they themselves see the problem. I bring into an issue fair fight, as this was the thing included for us as a anti-cheat, and I do not believe fair fight should be an anti-cheat. They use it to control the servers when it's a system used to track stats and progression in like Battlefield 3 noob servers. It is not a program used to track players if they're cheating or not. It's why you'll see a lot of unfair bans. You'll see why a lot of the YouTubers are now complaining about being kicked out of servers when they shoot or kill somebody, and it's causing issue within the players. And I would hope any of the new players coming into the game would not experience this, especially the hardcore PvPers. This is a problem. I do think that the anti-cheat problem should have been addressed a while ago, and if we would have stayed with Steam to begin with, we could have had a better system such as VAC. Even right now, I think Punkbuster would be a better choice than Fair Fight, even as an addition, due to the fact that it actually can track cheating, and to an extent that we won't be falsely banned for killing another player fairly. I myself was targeted for ESP monitoring because of players reporting me due to killing them. That was a month back. And, I don't cheat. I don't support cheating. I don't condone cheating. I don't allow cheating in our clan. It's something that we don't support, and it is absolutely ridiculous that fair players are being marked as cheaters because of the system. This is a system that is based on player reports and review, but I don't see much human review in these reports. I'll explain why there's a lot of players that are falsely banned. We had a clan member in my clan who was banned without ever having a single kill, and it was claimed that in the email that it was a false ban at first. She was unbanned, and not even 5 hours later she was banned again for this, for the same problem, and a different email was said that she aimbotted somebody, or there's proof of her aimbotting. Yet again, I will take into account she has never gotten a single kill. And this is a problem, is there's a lot of false reports going on. People are abusing the system, and it's not fair for the rest of us as legit players. I will take into account, Marine brought up that it is a stat-based system. It's not accounted on, and not even an anti-cheat, and it's true. Like I said, a fair fight is not helping any of us. It's making things worse. With that being said, that's all I really have to say for the subject. I'll move on to Super Goku.
Well, unfortunately, I can't really get into the subject too much because I haven't been able to get into the game that too much because of my toaster laptop. But I do know that Fair Fight is it's not even an anti-cheat, it's just the stat tracking system, and I just think, like you said, it kind of makes things worse because I've had friends who get a mass amount of kills and they get banned for that because they get suspected for too many kills, and they also get reported a lot. And let's say they join a private server and they kill someone, and so everyone gets pissed off and keeps reporting him to the point where Fair Fight says, "Oh well, I'm gonna ban you because you got reported so many times. I don't care what you did." It's not a real anti-cheat, and the developers chose this quote-unquote anti-cheat because it saves them money. And it's not that they can't afford a better anti-cheat, because they definitely can. This game has so much money in it. They've got so much money off of this game. They can definitely afford back. I can totally tell you right now. But they don't want to. Maybe that's not true. Maybe they got other things in plan. But I really think it's that they don't want to. They just want to keep some extra cash in their pockets to do whatever it is they're doing, because they have more than enough money to get back. And if we had back, there would be so much improvement in the game. Now they don't have to get back. I mean, because I do understand that there would be a lot of transition into Steam, and it's not really possible with so many non-Steam accounts available. And but they can get Punk Buster, which isn't as good, but it's definitely 1,000 times better than Fair Fight, which isn't even an anti-cheat, and in some cases, like I said, makes things worse. So that's pretty much my input on hacking.
Oh, thank you for that. We'll move on to Marky then.
What's needed here is to not use a social-based system for to prevent hacking, because that can be abused. It's people's human nature to abuse that. I keep expecting that I'm going to get reported a whole bunch of times and, be knocked off or whatever, and people know that I'm not cheating or whatnot, but, if that happened, it would just go to show that it's not a fair system. And so that's why I even mention it. I guess I'm putting it into people's minds at this point, but there are much better solutions for this. And fair fight is more of a social control. It's for people with bad behavior. It's not for people with hacks and cheats. So and the whole hacking thing is going to be the Achilles heel of the game. If they don't get this taken care of, it is going to be one of the main things that causes the death of the game. And in fact, speaking with some other game developers, it's the number one thing that they bring up when they're talking about other games they're getting ready to release that are similar to War Z. Their number one thing on their agenda is anti-hacking, no hacks. And they recognize how important that is as customer service. The problem here is that Hammerpoint doesn't see us as customers; they see us as dollars, and so they use the least costly solution to make as big an impact as possible. The problem is the impact is not big enough, and so until they look at the problem from the player's point of view. Which is actually to look at the entire game, not just hacking, but the entire game, whether it's the monetization with the gold coins, or it's the server prices, or it's the whatever. Until they look at it from the player's point of view, it is always going to have this strife of not being correct, and I just want them to make this good game great. So whatever it takes, guys, to get the anti-hacking right, I'll be supportive of that. I can say what we've got right now, right here. There's just, with the number of people that are reporting that they're getting banned unfairly, I can't believe, I've never seen this number of unfair ban reports before in any game. And so there's got to be some sort of truth to it. I don't know how much. I don't know what the stats are, but I believe that there's some sort of truth to it, to people getting banned unfairly. So that's all.
I do want to add real quick. I did understand that it is to my understanding to add that a lot of these people that are claiming they're unfairly banned are the cheaters' websites are sending them back to claim that the hopes to get them unbanned. I do understand that. That is only it is a mix of people that have been unfairly banned. There is a rash number of people who've been unfairly banned and unfairly treated with this new system, and I just want to keep that into effect. That there are cheaters getting banned, and there is also
there are cheaters getting banned, and we're very appreciative of that. But I have to go back to cases like Sly Jesse, who him and I were working together. We were live streaming all the time, recording YouTube videos, and he got banned. And I asked to see the proof of that. I'm like, okay, I'm a third party. There's all these reports of people being unfairly banned and everything. Just show me the proof that you've got against him, because I'll report that hey, here's an actual case. Even though Sly Jesse is my friend, if he was doing something inappropriate and they could show me proof, well, I'm just going to say the truth. And the word that came back to me was Sergey said no on showing me a screenshot. And so I did talk to them about it. It was discussed at some meetings internally and stuff, but all they could say was that he was using something to give him an advantage that appeared in a screenshot, and it was considered to be a very light hack that they say most people wouldn't even notice. And so I don't know. It leaves very much a feeling of distrust. And like you don't know who to trust. I want to believe what Hammerpoint says, and that they're banning people appropriately. And at the same time, I want to believe what Sly Jesse says, that he was unfairly banned. And one of them is not right. And in this case, with all the flack going back at Hammerpoint about this and everything, and all my personal knowledge of Sly Jesse and stuff, I have to side with Sly Jesse. I asked to see the proof, and they didn't want to show it. And it was as simple as showing me a screenshot and explaining it. And it wasn't even going to be something that was going to be shown on my streams or anything. It was just going to be so that I could report back as to how it was being done. And when you can't share that kind of information for the greater good of your community, it tells me that something is wrong. What is wrong? I don't know, but it just tells me something's wrong.
Want to bring in an account before I move on to the next person. A lot of what we know is, to my knowledge, that there is no proof of anybody cheating other than insane stat and what Fair Fight would tag them at for. I just want to add that to the equation.
It's perfect. We just need that.
Right. And welcome to my phone. YouTube.
And every time we ask Kook or Sergey about, can you show us proof of this guy being a hacker, he just says, I have 100% proof. It's
undeniable evidence, man.
He just says, I'm sorry, but he'll never admit it, that he was a hacker.
Right.
Well, they don't need to admit it if there's the proof right there. All they got to do, I don't care who the third party is that they show this to. Just show it to somebody.
Yeah, but they're not going to show you the proof, because they always come back to you saying it would actually give the hackers an advantage on their foolproof system.
I will sign an NDA to not give out any information, just to say that yes, they're doing it legitimately, or no, they couldn't show me that.
Right. Generally, they don't show. Generally, they don't have to show you proof, but normally, in cases like this, you're not going to believe that they don't, whether they do or do not have the proof.
I can say that they have shown people proof, like when we were moderators, Kook, and I asked about one of my friends being falsely kicked off 100 pop servers. He told me what suspicious activity there was and why he was kicked off 100 pop servers. And so the things that he did, one of them was he uses contrast at night, and he got a long distance shot, which
oh my God.
Been able to get at night. That's something I can tell you that is one thing that Fair Fight picks up on.
What happened, Marky?
Yeah.
I just got to say that, and if any of you have watched my videos, why have I not been banned for contrast adjustment?
About those kind of bans. One guy is currently under Fair Fight suspicion, or on the watch list, whatever you call it, because he got one kill at over 400 meters in the dark, and he can't log on to his own server. Because he keeps getting kicked. I talked to Kook about it, and he said, oh yeah, we'll just keep him on the watch list for a bit, and if it doesn't happen again, we'll unban him. But who knows when that will
I
happen.
mean, if he's
not
not
gonna
if
happen
he's
if
not
you can't
going
go
on
on
his own
server,
server,
is it?
it's not gonna happen.
If you can't play, then
Yeah, exactly. Well, which is good. That's like fuck.
Well,
That's brilliant.
I'm gonna stop us real quick, guys. We
I
are going
love
off.
it.
We are going off
Yeah,
track
let's
here.
Let's get back into the old circle.
I will move it on to the next person. I myself, I'll be back in within 2 minutes. I expect you guys to continue live. When you are done, please pass it down.
Yeah, I will do that. Yeah, right.
Thank you.
Now this whole thing's going to go to pot without you here. We're all just going to be shouting and everything all the time.
Don't worry,
Yeah,
things will be
it'll be
fine.
fine.
Like I said, I'll be here. It's just I'm going to be doing something in the side while listening. Alive, please, if you will continue.
Oh, wow, there's a screen page opens.
Well, I mean, like, you guys are just a bunch of fools. There's no hack in War Z. Everybody knows that. I've actually, like, I don't have the link here, but even Sergey said it. They got 70% of the bans coming, because there's no hack, but there's still bans, but there's 70% of them coming from the awesome built-in anti-hack system that they got, like, within the engine, and 30% from Fair Fight. And that's pretty much right. That's all I have to say about hacking here. There's no hack. That doesn't exist. You guys are just delusional.
I just can't take you seriously right now.
oh man.
But I do want that zombie skin. I mean, whoever I'll get an account, I want to try that on. I mean, I want to look like a zombie.
You want to look like a zombie? It would be cool if we could be zombies. But from there, thank you for your fantastic input. Derpy, carry it away, man.
All right. From what I've seen and heard from when I was a moderator, Verified isn't really doing all that much. It mostly relies on people using the report function, which just piles up, and nobody really looks at it except for Kook. And well, now at least I hope the paid mods also look at it, but I have not heard of them doing much. All they do is moderated forums, which they do a pretty bad job at.
That must piss you off that you lot did a much better job than they're doing now, and they're getting paid to do it.
Well, that's pretty much part of the reason why Quirky and I left.
I mean, I've had probably 3 or 4 of those paid moderators come and view my page, and I know exactly why they've done it, because they've trawled through my posts trying to see if I've written anything before the new forum rules came into place that might warrant an infraction or a ban. And I think that I've worded it so eloquently that they've been unable to either comprehend or they've been unable to find anything in there that could warrant one. But they can go and suck out as far as I'm concerned, because they are terrible.
What I find really
it's not a
annoying
moderator,
about
it's a censorship.
what I find annoying about the paid moderators is that the volunteer moderators that were and are have more customer service experience than some of them.
Exactly.
And that they're getting paid to do it, and yeah.
What do you think about the anti-cheat?
Back
That's
to that.
horrible.
You want
Anti-cheat.
nzgirl, it's on you.
I think it isn't as good as it should be. Like with the whole having some of my friends who I know don't hack. I've known them for a while, getting kicked from 100 pop service because they were suspicious. They were just doing things that lots of people do, and it just happened that they were caught doing suspicious things, and I think that's stupid, especially when they did do the banning of the 100 pop servers on a Friday before the weekend, and they were like, oh, we'll fix it next week, and they didn't actually fix it, they just got rid of 100 pop servers.
Yeah, it is very valid. I do agree on a lot of that, and I do want to state that you guys did start going off track. I don't really want to get into the subject about moderator removal. I'm sorry I wasn't able to get to my computer fast enough to interrupt that. But
We can
we'll move
cover
on
it
to the
later
next-
though, right?
Yeah, we can talk about us getting demodded later. Some people have already asked about it.
Yeah,
If
absolutely.
it's available, yes.
Absolutely. Quirky.
Quirky, yeah. The hackers, man. What do you think?
Well, obviously there's been a recent post from Sergey, I think it was Sergey, that said 70% of their bans are from their own in-house anti-cheat. and 30% are from Fair Fight. So obviously, a lot of people seem to be getting banned off the 100 pop servers quite unfairly. If indeed it is only 30% through Fair Fight. I mean, my personal experience, most recently I went onto a public server and literally lasted about a minute, 2 minutes, got aimbotted from someone over in Smallville. I submitted the evidence to Kook, and apparently there wasn't enough evidence, despite having quite a few people confirming that indeed, this person was in Smallville. And, just saying that there's no evidence. I really don't think it's doing an accurate job. And honestly, I'd like to see some improvements, because I do know some people that hack. I mean, I don't support it myself, but, they've been hacking for a long time, and they've not been caught. It's ridiculous how long they've been going on for.
And that is definitely an issue. I have heard reports of people who have been cheating since, the cheats first started appearing. There was reports of it on the forums. I've seen threads pop up. It could be valid or it could not be. But, fact is, there probably has been people cheating that long. And the fact that, the people that are cheating like that aren't caught because they're not doing anything suspicious. They're just breaking around the corners. That is a problem. But we'll continue on to the next person. Momomack, what do you got to say?
Yeah, come at me, people. I think there are a few things regarding the anti-cheat and the hackers that we have in the current build at the moment. For those people, where you have people like me and the others in the discussion and some others out of it that turn around and say, okay, let's take Fair Fight out of the equation. Let's take all the negativity we have regarding that out of the play. And let's just concentrate on the fact that the majority of people want a different anti-cheat. They want a competitor towards Fair Fight. They want, be it VAC, Punkbuster, etc., etc. There are many people who turn around and say, "Oh yeah, but Punkbuster can still get, you can still circumnavigate Punkbuster. You can or circumvent Punkbuster. You can still get round things like VAC." Yeah. That's an undeniable fact. Okay, we can't get away from that. Every single game has hackers. There is. You simply can't get away from that. Are they detrimental to the industry? Yeah. Are they detrimental to your enjoyment? Of course. They're there. It's unless somebody comes out, and does a miracle fix and a miracle anti-hack, then it's going to happen. However, do the games that rely on things like Punkbuster and VAC. And I'm not talking about games that no longer receive support that they used to. Okay, if we're going to talk about games like World at War, where it's fact that's already out there that they don't receive the support that a 4-year-old, 5-year-old game would receive. A game like that uses an anti-hack like Punkbuster or VAC or wherever it may be, there probably will be hackers. There has been that amount of time to collate, information enough to circumvent those respective anti-cheat programs. Do we have a game like the War Z, which is still in its relative infancy, where we have it at 5 months after release, and we have the absolute, cancer on the game at the moment that is hacking? Do those games that are 5 months old, like the War Z is that use VAC and Punkbuster, are they getting hacked to the degree that this game is? Absolutely not. It's they're not. It's people can turn around, and I see people in the chat already disagreeing and saying, oh yeah, but they are hackers. They could just be saying they're not. That's fine. That's your opinion. The simple fact of the matter is the games that are still in relative infancy alongside the War Z that use other anti-cheats do not get hacked to a degree that this is. They have the problem. Every game has the problem, but they do not have it to such a huge extent that this does, and it doesn't affect the player base in their game like it's affecting ours. The simple fact of the matter is you can't weigh up a hacking debacle or a hacking problem in a pure FPS, okay, and weigh that up against an MMORPG like this, because it's a completely different spectrum, both in gameplay, genre, technicalities. You can't put a closed map FPS against a sandbox and weigh the two problems of hacking from each respective game up against each other. So, Fair Fight isn't as good as VAC or Punkbuster. Okay, the simple fact it's being used is because it's free. That's it. There's no validity in saying, oh, Punkbuster and VAC get hacked just as much, because they don't. And it's that, the problems that they have when they do get hacked aren't detrimental to their respective games community that they're protecting, as what the hacking is to the War Z community. Now, I did some research regarding Fair Fight. I don't know how far other people have delved into this. Now I'm not a conspiracy theorist, okay? Before anyone sort of wants to paint me as one, I'm merely somebody who likes to know exactly what product I'm being monitored by. Now, there were numerous reports upon Fair Fight's initial entry into War Z, that it had been, nobody said it had been on the go for years. No one said that it was a huge program that was world renowned. That's fine, but it was made, very, very clear that it wasn't a relative newbie onto the anti-cheat scene. It had proven itself in other games. It hadn't proven itself as an anti-cheat. It had proved itself as a stat tracker. It had no basis as anti-cheat before that. So, as far as I'm concerned, it hadn't proved itself. It hadn't proved any validity on the scene of anti-cheat whatsoever. It was registered. The Fair Fight trademark was registered in July of 2012, or around that time. Okay, so that's very, very close to the War Z's conception or alpha beta release. Now, they're simply and registered on that, and it's easy information. Anyone can get it on the US Patent and Trademark site. It's very easy, and I had a look on there. It's registered as a business on multiple very reliable sites. Not ones that do just general digging and put hokum pokum out there. That it's registered as a company that has 1 to 10 employees. Now, if that's the case, unless everybody that works for Fair Fight is a volunteer, I do not see how you can monitor a game or a community the size of War Z and, definitively protect the community from a debacle that we have at the moment, which is the hacking, with a company that only employs up to 10 people. And I don't see that. And it's something that really does bug me on that sense. Do I think, however, getting back to the hacking and away from the whole, fuck you, Hammerpoint, do we deserve a better anti-cheat? Absolutely, yes we do. Do I think with the Steam re-release that Hammerpoint and those within Hammerpoint will maybe invest some of that money into Valve anti-cheat? Unfortunately, no, I don't. I think there has to be not an uprising. I'm not a lynch mob. I think, but there has to be a very vocal thing, deviating away from the abuse, deviating away from the poorly structured forum rage threads. I think there has to, however, be a very, well-constructed, concise, vocal support from a large part of the community, hopefully starting here tonight, saying that we deserve a better anti-cheat, and whether or not, Valve anti-cheat can be, circumnavigated to the degree of what Fair Fight can, at least we deserve to be able to see that. It's as simple as that. At least we deserve, as paying customers, to be able to say to a developer, can you please invest our money in an anti-cheat that, okay, maybe we could all get proven wrong, however, we would like to be able to see it in action, so it may very well have a much more positive effect on the game and the community, because right now I am seeing a huge amount of people simply disperse from the War Z community. I've seen people who have vehemently defended the game in all build statuses, and turn around and say they would never play DayZ. I'm seeing them go to other games. I'm seeing them, even if they're not going to Dean Hall's camp, I'm seeing them saying, I'm never playing this genre until State of Decay comes out. I'm never playing this genre again. When a game, to the point of what the War Z has, is actively turning people away from a whole genre because they haven't been able to implement a proper anti-cheat, is really, really sad, in my opinion. I mean, that sort of covers my basis for Fair Fight. But there are, talking about the false positives and things like that, there are a huge amount of underlying factors within the structure that Fair Fight and Hammerpoint have together that haven't been disclosed, that I think maybe in terms of can we see the script logs? No, absolutely not. I wouldn't expect a developer to do that. I wouldn't expect an anti-cheat proprietor to do that. But are there certain things that we, the community, should be privy to that we're not? Absolutely. And deserve something better? Absolutely.
I fully agree with you, and there's much of what you said that should be agreed with, and the fact that this game itself is turning people away from the genre is definitely a problem. Like I said earlier before we started this, I do love this genre, and I do want to see this genre hopefully make a game that all of us zombie fanatics and diehards all love. There's a lot coming out that we look forward to, but we have War Z now. Why should War Z be turned down in a way? I see a lot of potential, and I do use potential strongly because this game has it. It's just it's slacking in what its potential could forward for us. But with that being said,
just to see, I've just had a look at the chat. There seems to be some people that around the middle of my explanation/rant may have misunderstood where I was going with the trademark thing. I wasn't implying anything regarding the War Z, the Hammer Pointer Arctos trademark. That's not what I was after. That's a completely different thing that may or may not be got to later on. What I was alluding to was the Fair Fight trademark, which comes under the Game Blocks trademark, and Game Online Management, which are trademarks registered by Game Blocks, who own Fair Fight. For those who in the chat who may not have got what I was talking about. Sorry.
It's all good. With all that being said, I guess we can move on to our next member of the round table, Jeep. What do you have to say about the hackers and the anti-cheat, man?
What about Rez?
Rez, we did adjust him. He's not in position right now.
Oh, okay.
It's you, Sugar, then Rez.
Okay.
Unless Rez wants to move himself. If you want to move yourself in between, Sugar, slide your position down a little bit.
Come on, slide down, Sugar.
Come on, Sugabug.
Come on,
and
slide on
Rez,
down,
move into where she was. All right, that's perfect. All right, Jeep, up to you, man.
Oh yeah, man, there's been a lot of good stuff said about this. Momo's kind of a tough act to follow. He makes a lot of valid points. I got a lot of issues with this for a lot of different reasons. It's weird because an environment has been created where the game was pretty much overtaken with cheaters. I don't want to sound like a dead horse. I said this last thing. It's kind of ironic how much of an impact it takes on so many things. So in ushers this fair flight, and all we know is people are getting banned. For a lot of people, they're like, oh, thank goodness. People are getting banned. Then we start seeing these I didn't ban false bans pop up, which is, I think, very typical. The number, however, that are in this game, I think, are a little disturbing. Whether they be accurate or not, that's obviously just speculation on my part. One of my biggest issues that I have with it is that when you see these pop up, you have this dolt, Cuke, pops in, and he says he has undeniable evidence. I've come across fortune cookies with more credibility than Cuke, and when I see him comment on a lot of these proposed cheaters, and says that they have undeniable evidence, but there's absolutely nothing offered at all. And I know what Momo's saying. I'm not saying they should present the scripts. Yeah, sorry. I'm doing two things here, guys. So I had my microphone a little higher up than I wanted. And I'm not saying that they need to show the actual inner working scripts of the anti-cheat. But I had a friend, ironically, like Marky, nzgirl, that was also banned, and he went about everything the proper ways that he was told to do stuff, which was through their support, the Zendesk, which obviously takes an eon to get anything through. He finally received a rebuttal back from a Zoidberg or something like that. I saw the email when it all came about, and they wouldn't give him any instance at first as to how he was caught cheating. Well, here you go, we have this saying that you did this or this and this. And he kind of pressed the issue in a respectful manner. And they came back, another person, Patrick, which I actually think now might have been Cuke, responded to the
That would have
email.
been Kook, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
Patrick is Kook.
Okay, responded to the email saying that, well, you had 3 very suspicious kills. They were headshots on people from X amount of and this whole thing was just basically italicized. It wasn't any real formal documentation. There was a lot of X's in it to kind of make it look like there was privy information being blocked out. However, it did, ironically enough, have the names of the players that my clanmate killed. 2 of which were very easily recognizable because they were also clanmates. And we were able to discern instantly what happened because we were not a very active PvP clan at all. Matter of fact, I think, and I'd have to go back to his post because I have not logged on to none of my clan plays anymore. And 40 hours of play, he had like 33 kills. 6 of them were clan members from just messing around and stuff. So by all accounts, that's very low PvP statistics, just 30 people and 40 hours played. So then when he rebutted to it saying, hey man, 2 of those people you just listed are my clanmates, they then fired back with, oh, you were changing night into day. Well, of course, at that junction, what can you say? How can you prove whether you were doing it or you weren't doing or whatnot? So it became just a moot point, and obviously he accepted the ban, got a buyback, and that was that. I guess my whole point is that, in one hand, we were in such dire straits for some sort of anti-cheat because things were getting out of hand. That at first I think we welcomed fair fight rather, and now we're starting to see the repercussions of it and how they're using it to implement and how they're nerfing weapons, they're lowering the accuracy of weapons, they're lowering the damage rate of weapons. These are all direct results of trying to figure out, what to try to trigger into the hackers. So not only do you have the hackers affecting the normal gameplay just by hacking, you have their method and their way of preventing hackers affecting the gameplay as well. It's starting to alter the gameplay. I don't know if many of you have noticed some of this stuff. Of course, we all know about the damage registry, about how now the weapons are capped at a certain distance, whereas very early on they weren't, which makes more sense that they're not than they do. Then I've noticed also some weapons, the accuracy is just abysmal on them. It's been turned down so much that they just absolutely fire like crap. But they're doing all these things to establish some sort of cheat deterrent by using a program that really just flat out doesn't detect cheats, and it relies just on them conveying information. Just the whole thing rubs me wrong. I don't want to get too much into bashing it because I know that's what you want to stay away from. But I do believe from what Momo said and what everybody said is that it needs to be reviewed. If you have people who aren't cheating or haven't been accused of cheating like all of us here are saying, hey, your anti-cheat just is not working, we're not comfortable with it, it's not doing its job for many different reasons. I'm not an advocate for cheaters, but I am a strong advocate for people being treated unjustly or wrongly, especially if this was a free-to-play game and somebody got banned, whatever. I probably honestly wouldn't care. But considering the fact that people paid to play the game, you got people who are renting servers now that are being banned. You're talking about people pissing away $60, $70, $100 on this game just to be told, his famous tagline, I have undeniable evidence that you were cheating. To me, that just doesn't sit well, because it's like that poster, and I'm sure the mods remember this, because Quirky, me and you exchanged a couple PMs about it, who made that really nice post on the forums, who was a cheater, ironically. And I wish I still had that. I didn't capture it. But, he basically said none of you are safe. It's only a matter of time that if the cheating persists, they're going to have to strangle point the statistics lower and lower and lower and lower on it to the point where basically PvP becomes obsolete. And we're starting to see that, especially on the higher pops and now the publics, where they're rolling in those higher parameters of what's happening. We're seeing people all the time now that are saying, hey, I'm being flagged, hey, I'm being this, whether it's people we like or not, it doesn't matter. It's just a simple point that, what this cheater basically is forecasting is kind of coming to fruition. That they're strangleholding the game and really manipulating certain elements of it, and for what? Because like many of you, I go into public and there's still shady crap that happens. So they're not really taking the cheaters so much out of the equation as they are aspects of the gameplay. So I don't know. That's all I got.
I do agree with a lot what you have to say there.
I think one thing
that was really good.
That really some ground with me is that it's a question of morality for me, as my personal opinion. You can't say to someone you have undeniable evidence and not allow them to refute that. You simply can't, because there are so many.
It happens all the time.
Yeah, if you applied that to life, and said, if you had someone in a court and said, I have undeniable evidence that you murdered someone, so you are going to face the death sentence, and then not allow them to build a defense against that, what kind of world do you live in? And all right, it's taken from one thing to a vast extreme, but I'm just emphasizing a point. You can't say to someone you have undeniable evidence a million times, which is what's been done. You can't just use that as your slogan and not allow people to refute that. It's unprofessional, and like Zeems is saying in the chat here, and Derpy, I know that you've been agreeing with him. It is unprofessional, and it's there will be a certain level of unprofessionalism within the industry, in every industry, but when it gets to that degree and it's happening on a daily basis multiple times, and that's being filtered through different tiers of hierarchy, from community manager to moderator to to forum moderator to in-game developer, you can't do it. It's simple. You're not. It baffles belief that people, even the defenders of this game, in whatever aspect they defend it in, can sit there and say that Kook is fair and is just to say, I have undeniable evidence, therefore fuck off. You're not allowed to say anything bad towards me, or else you get banned. It's not right. It just isn't right. There are too many people that have invested both time and finances into this game with little or no reward, and have been really treated very unjustly.
Yeah, that's exactly. The big thing for me too is I bring in the credibility of the source, and I know that's probably going to be a varied opinion, but from where I stand, they're not very credible, especially Kook, in my opinion. So when I hear it come from his mouth, I even wonder even more the validity behind a lot of this stuff, because there's very little credibility behind a lot of things that are said on their side of the fence. And as time goes on, what little credibility they may have to some people dwindles even further and further and further and further. So when you have this instance where you're literally talking about preventing people from enjoying what they paid for, that to me is a big factor. When you're going to hide behind, you're essentially putting your credibility up as a front, but truth be told, do you really have any? I have undeniable evidence, but who are you? I know you're the community manager or whatever, but in the grand scheme of things, what's the overall perception of you and the people you work for? Is it that way we should trust what you have to? Is there a lot of trust there? Do we have a very trusting relationship? For me, they don't. That's going to vary from person to person. But that's like what I said. I've seen fortune cookies that I've held in more high esteem with credibility of what they've read than some of the things that have come out of their mouths. But
I think one thing that people are saying in the chat as well is, I know that that Conra, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, has said, if you give evidence to someone that really is hacking or deving for a hack site, then they can change the hack to counter that. That's a valid point, but at the end of the day, it's a very bottlenecked view of things. If you turn around and say you can't, and we've already discussed, we don't expect Hammerpoint to give out script logs, we don't ask for that. But jumping back onto that for a very short time, just to address that statement, if you give evidence to someone that's really hacking or deving for a hack site, they can change their hack to counter that. It really doesn't take a lot. If someone gets banned, okay, in the current climate where they don't get told anything, okay, if they're really hacking, then chances are they're going to realise what they were banned for. They were banned because they were hacking. So they're going to turn round and say to wherever they got the hack, or if they are modding or deving for a hack site, I got banned, let's change the hacks. It doesn't need Hammerpoint to turn around and give them the script log information to show them the hacks they're banned for them to change it. It really isn't that hard. It's a very bottleneck view to just look at it from one aspect. You have to take both sides of a tennis court into equation. If I can use that in the right sort of manner of speaking, you can't just look at one side and not appreciate the other.
Right.
Yeah, it's totally, well, at least somewhat off topic, but about the Sly Jesse ban, I personally don't think he hacked. I won't know for sure, obviously, but I don't think he hacked. And I have talked to Cook about this several times, about checking into his account, and every time he just said, oh, I have undeniable proof. He didn't say anything other than that. So, yeah.
I do want to try to get this topic cut shorter. I don't want to rush Suga and Resnorock, but we will push on to the next people. Sorry to interrupt everybody else, but we are pushing time here. This is some very interesting discussion. I am enjoying this a lot. Suga, what are your thoughts?
Listening to all of you, I feel like the majority of you believe that Fair Fight is not an anti-cheat. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
I would
It really isn't.
I'd go out there on a limb and say I don't think it is.
Well, basically, we have this system put in that makes all of us potentially we could all get banned for using too many granola bars or turning up the contrast or whatever. So, is it really the cheapest? Is that the reason that they put Fair Fight into place, because it is the cheapest?
I think it is. I think because
so.
the company's in its
do.
relative infancy. I think because, like I say, it was only devised and registered as a trademarked company at the same time when this game came into alpha and beta release. I think they have chosen it because I don't think there was any actual testing of Fair Fight. I think that they merely looked at it and said, oh, it's a stat base. Well, maybe we could apply that to... That's an awesome idea. Maybe if we use the stat tracking, we can use that to implement an anti-cheat. I think it's a fantastic conception. I think it was a great idea, but it's just not going to work. I think they took it because it was cheap.
Right. The majority of the people are saying that they did it because it was cheap. So they have the potential to make a lot of money. Hammerpoint does. So my question is, are they really so stupid to put something like this in as their anti-cheat system to kill the game and not have customers on a long-term basis, because we're all eventually going to go away? So if it's really a money issue and they really want to make money, why wouldn't they care enough to put something in that's going to keep us spending our money a little bit longer than just, we're only 4 months into this?
They don't see a problem, though, do they? They've made that evident. They honestly don't see it.
I don't know what else
I agree with that.
The mentality of it is an us versus them mentality at Hammerpoint anyway. I mean, it's evident. It's not a case of working cooperatively with the community to actively improve the game. It's an us versus them. And maybe our discussions on the forums and maybe some of the rage threads have got off it. Maybe when we all got so angry, maybe we did let ourselves go a little bit. Maybe we have excuses, as to why we let ourselves go because the game got so bad. But at the end of the day, as a game developer and as a person within your position, speaking personally now to Patrick Coop Bowman, a person in your position and many others who are at Hammerpoint, you can't look at the rage threads that you have on that forum as a game developer, and we're in a position where you have to remain neutral and accept that criticism, but you don't do that and adopt a right, okay, well, it's an us v them mentality now. This is what we're going to do, and it's not a case of an active communication and discussion to improve the game. We're going to do what we view is right in our own ignorance, and then we're going to do whatever we can to justify it. And if we can't justify it, we're going to ban people. That's not a way to run a community in a game.
Listen, all games have hackers. Every game out there has hackers that's on a PC, and I just don't understand. I just don't understand what they're doing in this, for the Fair Fight. I don't get it.
Sorry.
Considering they are already working on 2 other games, I personally think, and I might be saying this because I'm pretty pissed off right now, but I personally think they are in this for the short-term game. They'll just move on to their next in a bit.
There's no doubt about it. You only have to look at War Inc.
Their largest monetary gain has already been gotten. The pre-orders, the inception. Their second monetary gain was the flux of servers. After this, it's just breadcrumbs. It's just, let's see if we can get people to string along enough to pick up stuff from the shop. You know.
Can I say something here? I'll tell you. I'll tell you what happens here. They just created a market. You've got the situation going out of control in January. They were building up like all that jazz about servers. The day that servers, like the private servers, went live, what happened? They couldn't actually satisfy the demand with the supply they had. And you had people paying like $60 or plus waiting for up to 4 days, because that's actually what they generated, and that's actually what they're generating right now. Anyone going onto the public servers right now will renew the server if they want to keep on playing. That's simple as that. That's what they actually did, and they actually ensured.
Harking on to that, it baffles me that people don't realise that the skill tree implementation that occurred, was it today or yesterday? Let's not get away from the fact that skill trees have been relatively passed over. As many people have complained about it, there has been very little response from Hammerpoint as to the ongoing development and the implementation of skill trees. Now, all of a sudden, after the furore of the original implementation of server rentals, it's now got to the point where the vast majority of those who are renting servers are turning around and saying, I'm not going to renew my next month. I'm not going to do it because nothing is changing. Yet, now that that's happened, all of a sudden we get this. All of a sudden we get the skill trees. You know,
something that Coke did say to the mods was that the forums aren't a large part of the community, and so just because the community on the forums unhappy, it doesn't mean that the general population of Warzy is unhappy.
The thing is, you have no way of mediating with the general population. You can turn around and say the forums aren't a big part. That may be true, but you can't say that. You've got to be a very naive person. I think Cook is very naive in saying that the forums aren't a large part of the community. Will fuck you for saying that, because you have absolutely no media, communication with people that aren't on the forums. I mean, what active roles do you see anyone from Hammerpoint playing in communities other than the forum? Where are they in publicity terms?
New paid mods to be working on social media sites or something.
What, like Facebook?
I mean, yeah, but what do they think?
Yeah.
Do they think that you show me the day where a mod has a significant number of followers on Twitter or friends on Facebook. It's not going to happen. He's living in a world of fucking magic. You're not going to have paid mods with a significant friend base on a social network or on a social medium. I mean, what gaming website do they think? I mean, does Cook think learn nothing from his original moderator, fiasco on Steam? I mean,
I want to cut you short.
paid moderators aren't.
We are going into a different topic now.
I just wanted to say one last thing. And I think it was Alive who said something too. The fact that it all boils down to, I don't think that they're stupid, and I don't think it's just a money issue. I just don't think they know what they're doing. I really don't. I mean, because there's so many games out there who have been there for 6-7 years, some of them more, who are making money. And if this company really if it was all about the money, then they'd be getting it right by now. That's what I'm trying to say. It's not just War Z, it's War Inc. It was Big Rigs. They've had plenty of time not to keep screwing people over. If it's all about money.
I think that's valid. I think that's very valid. I mean, it's all very well looking at Big Rigs, and I don't want to go off topic, and I really don't, but if people look at Big Rigs, let's look at that game for 2 seconds away from the context of your winner, ha ha ha, it's so shit. Alright, we can all get that, we all know it's funny, we've all seen the memes, brilliant. But let's not get away from the simple fact of the matter that game was devised on a very poorly optimized engine created by Sergei Titov. It was then loaned out to a very cheap Eastern European development company, and they only sold 20,000 copies of Big Rigs, yet they still made a large profit. And the reason that large profit was made, because it was very cheap to implement. It was a very poorly optimized engine that was leased out to a development team that if you'd given to it in the US, they would have told you to get out there building with full security. You know, the simple mentality of the people, certainly in the upper echelons of Hammerpoint, talking about Titov individually, actually, is that there is no real part of Sergei Titov, in my mind, you know, in my opinion, that looks at a game he develops and goes, this is my baby, this is something I want to make fantastic for a gaming community. In Sergei Titov's mind, it's a case of what scheme, what genre, what can I exploit within this current industry that is going to make me money quickly, that I may or may not get a certain amount of abuse for, but in the end it's not going to be detrimental to me because I'm just going to keep making shit engines, shit games in a short run. I mean, this genre, this game could be a behemoth, but he doesn't treat it as that. He treats it as purely what he wants to treat it as, which is a very quick, very large income of money.
I do want to cut it there. I want to cut it from there.
To the next topic.
Wait, hold on, because we're kind of going very much off topic. Because someone brought up VAC in the chat. I asked Cube this yesterday, and he said they won't be going to VAC simply because they would have to make their game Steam only, which they're not gonna do because, well, frankly, they're probably gonna get removed again from Steam. And before someone says it costs money, no, VAC is free if your game is on Steam because it's included in Steamworks.
Oh, really?
Don't want to switch to it because they have to.
But you have to be exclusively with Steam, though. That's the thing.
Which they don't want to do.
Right.
Alrighty.
For obvious
we
reasons.
have one more person about the hackers and cheaters. Resnorock, do you have anything you want to add about the hacking and cheating before we move on to the next topic?
Well, you know, I've been sitting there watching all of this go on for quite a while now. I don't really feel that the devs care about hacking. They have a horrible anti-hack. They're allegedly banning legit players, as well as the fact that it's not keeping hackers away. They can get banned all they want, but they just keep coming back. Just going off of what I hear when it comes to the hackers, I've run into personally like maybe one or two hackers ever on public servers. I don't think the hacking issue is as bad as everybody claims. I think a lot of it might be just kids getting all upset because they looted a bunch of nifty stuff and somebody came and took it from them because they're just not used to that sort of gameplay or losing their items and stuff like that. When it comes to proof for people getting banned, I really don't feel they should ever show a player proof. If that's actually ever happened, then that's also a problem. And I think it's a problem that players are demanding proof of evidence of them getting banned, because it's basically saying, well, we don't trust what's going on.
But a lot of
being
people
an
don't
ex-monitor, well, I know they don't, but it goes both ways with the development staff and the players. It's just this back and forth battle, but when it comes right down to it, it's like having a kid. The developers are the parents, and instead of getting brought down to the level of the player base, they really need to consider what's going on and actually give them what they want, because this is business rather than what they think they want. Being an ex-moderator on another game, I'd like to point out that proof is easily misconstrued. I mean, I've seen proof that's looked like cheating, but if you know how a game works, then you know not everything is actual proof just because you can take it that way. It's and the hack system is a more fallible hack system. It relies on more people to look into it. That's not an anti-hack. That's anti-customer service. It's using the program to gather incomplete information for them and let them use their own judgment. Undeniable evidence based off an individual's perspective of evidence isn't evidence at all. It's the fact of the matter is they can just do whatever they want, and they do exactly that. And for many of the bans being handed out for hackers, it doesn't matter because, like I said, they just come back with a new account. The fact that people complained about the anti-cheat for as long as they have, and the devs claim it actually works and ignore the player base, isn't a really good business model in my opinion. And what's it gotten them? People are leaving. And the utter lack of proper communication and giving the player base what they really scream the loudest about as a whole isn't right. If they worked on the coding to prevent external alterations that come up in the game, there wouldn't be such dire need for an anti-hack, I don't think. But they have to go and get a third-party system instead of having something built into the system itself and getting the third-party anti-hack. If people keep leaving over things like this game will never have a chance to live up to its potential. I mean, I love this game, and I keep playing and having a good time, but I could be having a better time, and I don't really like seeing the devs crap on as much potential as I've seen in this game. I've seen it before, and it kind of kills me when a game doesn't live up to its potential.
Right. I am going to cut you short there. We are running short on time. We got about 13 minutes left in our stream. So we'll go over the initial topics. We got 13 minutes left, so we'll keep it short. Anything you guys feel need discussed on our initial topics we have discussed. We're not going to push on to the other topics. We will save those for another day. And it is kind of disappointing. We did have a lot planned for tonight, but Marky did foresee this beforehand. This will take a while. There's a lot to be said, and with this much being said, it's going to require more time. If this is a great starting point, I am glad we were able to achieve as much as we have tonight, in a sense that there's a lot to be said. It really is.
I would like to add to that those of you who are watching the live stream, and those of you watching this on YouTube, do give your comments, your feedback on whether or not you have found this valuable to you or not. And if so, we can schedule more of these. There'll be a couple of topics and go somewhere between an hour and 2 hours, something like that. So you guys set the pace, those of you viewers who are watching this, if you even made it this far.
A long 2 hours, but you know what? I honestly found this 2 hours more entertaining just based on the knowledge we've heard from each of the person in the group. Every single person had something that I didn't know before, and that really does lead to an amazing discussion. And I did see we started getting off topic, and that was brought to point. We do need to stay on topic a little better, guys, if we are to continue this further. But like I was saying, we have now 11 minutes. Anything you guys want to add about the loot or the hackers? We'll start with Dupa. Real brief.
The hackers?
Anything. Hackers.
What did you say?
We're saying on that. Anything you want to add on to that? We're keeping this very brief right now. It's the last 11 minutes, so anything you want to finish up with?
Well, I don't really have much to say that I haven't already said. I just basically want to say that, in my opinion, I really think Hammerpoint is in it for the money more than anything, because it's more than possible with the amount of money they have. It's more than possible to make this a really great game, loot and everything. They, not enough team members. Maybe they're not good enough. Well, they can hire people to actually work on the game and get things done right. What about the hackers? Well, they can get Pug Buster. That's pretty much my view on the end.
Alrighty. Marky, anything else you'd like to add?
Well, I just want to encourage Hammerpoint to make some changes in the mindset of thinking about how the player feels about each action, and I think that that I think it was Sugabug that said that that maybe it's really that the people at Hammerpoint just don't have the skills or the experience with some of this stuff, and that's why some of these crazy looking mistakes are happening. And we can forgive those, as long as they don't keep happening. And we all go through growing pains and everything on this stuff, and if that's what it is, I'm fine with that. Let's just move on and continue to make things better. So that's all.
Thank you. More live. Anything you'd like to add within our short 9 minutes?
Yeah, I'll try to be short. I really love this game. I enjoy it thoroughly. I'm pretty happy I paid so far $115 into it because, like, wherever I was told, like, back in August 2012, well, that's either been delivered or I know that the devs are a great team and they're going to deliver it, like, on short notice. I'm actually expecting to have, like, zillions kills tomorrow when I wake up with the nzgirl fix. So I'm very happy and thank you very much. Muchas gracias. Y se cuidan.
Derpy,
What are you
anything
guys
you'd like to
laughing
add?
at?
Half the people in
I
this
love
Twitch
you,
chat have
Surgeon.
never seen you on the forum. They're going to think you're being truthful.
Derpy, what would you like to say, man?
Basically, I don't think fair fight works. The devs don't know what they're doing in regards with the ban, and if they don't do anything soon, this game is gonna go to hell, pretty much. Well, it already has, but they can still save it if they act fast.
Bullshit.
NZ, anything you'd like to say to finish up?
Not really, just I hope that something is done and that one of the devs or somebody from Hammerpoint actually listens to this or watches it on YouTube.
Yeah, I do agree. I do hope this sees the right eyes and, gets the right feedback. Quirky, anything you'd like to add?
Just the devs need to listen to the community that are vocal. Someone needs to take accountability for all the mistakes that they've made. Seems that they just seem to pass it around between everyone and not actually say it was their fault. Blame Sergey or various other people for not meeting their deadlines or whatever. They just need to stop that. And just basically need to make improvements to this game. I mean, personally, I'm looking forward to DayZ standalone. And if they don't improve, then that's where I'm going to be really. And I think a lot of players feel the same.
I do say the same. Like I've been telling a lot of the guys here, I did quit the other day. I've been coming back after each D updates, to see if the game's changed. I do get upset with the game, and it does frustrate me when the hackers and with the loot. But thank you for that. I do agree. Momo, anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, very, very quickly. Regardless of my own personal opinions on people, on Hammerpoint's ethics or lack of therein that have been evident throughout their original Steam release. Regardless of my opinions on people like Sergey and Patrick and other members of the development team, whether or not I feel it's a monetization thing, there is certainly a large amount of the player base really do feel, however strongly we resent the game and the developers at the moment, that it has a lot of potential, that it can go very, very far. I think, again, as mentioned by others, I really do hope that this stream, the video on YouTube, reaches the right eyes. I hope that if it reaches somebody in the upper echelons of Hammerpoint, that maybe to drop the us versus them mentality might get you a little bit further than where it's got you so far. Otherwise, the relative 50-50 ratio and the neutralism or the neutrality that I've put towards DayZ and WarZ will, it will inevitably sway towards a large DayZ standalone rather than wanting to wait and see this game hopefully live to the potential that it's got. But at the moment, I just can't see it.
Thank you for that. That is very true. Jeep, anything you'd like to say?
Yeah, I had a good time tonight. I enjoyed this. This was cool. I think the issues that we spoke about tonight, presumably at another time, things that are mentioned on the forums, are all pretty much a direct result of just poor planning, not really understanding of the direction that they want to go in with the game. I love the concept. I don't love the game. I'll be interested to see at some point if the game that they're creating can meet the concept that they sold.
That's because you're a Daisy fanboy.
That's exactly right. And I have undeniable evidence of that.
I bet you do.
Now, I actually only played DayZ for a very short period of time. I do like Arma, but I just couldn't get my hands around DayZ. It's a long game in a sense. But it'll be interesting to see how this all turns out. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it'll be interesting.
Oh, thank you for that. Suga, anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, the last thing I just want to say is, if they're truly in this for the money, instead of all their little short-term schemes, scams, whatever people are wanting to call them, they need to look long-term. They have the potential. They already see that they're making money off this game. And long-term, they could make a hell of a lot more money. You know, it doesn't need to just stop here and then let's go back to War Inc. 2.0. Stop here and get it done. Just finish it. Do what you know you have to do and start making that money that you're wanting to make. And I hope they do watch this. I mean, if they don't have the people there right now to finish it or to do what's needed, I know damn well that they have enough money to hire people to do that. So that's all I'm wanting to see. I don't want to give up on it. I don't want to see this game end, and just get it done.
Thank you for that, Sugar. I do agree. Things need to be changed. Things need to be done. We'll finish up with Resnorock. Anything you'd like to say?
Yeah, I think the player base needs to quit having a bloody fit. If the devs listen to everyone, it's no wonder that they keep pissing everybody off with what they're doing and trying to make everybody happy, you know, when they actually try. The devs need to start coming from things from a gamer's perspective. They lack the vision and, more importantly, the drive, in my opinion. If they cared, then they would actually outsource to catch up on where they need to be with what they promised for the game. And they need to quit looking at it from a strictly business standpoint. Who makes a game without at least a little gamer's perspective? If you don't love it, then why do it?
You're right. They shouldn't listen to each and every person, but if they just went back to their original promises, we'd all be good.
Completely agree there.
I agree with that. I guess we'll finish up for tonight. Marky, I don't know if you want to do a special closing for your stream. I can finish up here. Basically, thank you everybody for joining us tonight. For those of you who are watching both YouTube and stream, thank you for you guys here inside the Roundtable for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Agent.
Hashtag YOLO swag.
God.
No, not yellow
Thanks for having
swag.
us.
I'm really glad that you were all able to join me, though. All of you have fantastic input on this game, and some of you really do hope for this game to succeed, and I myself do too.
We're going to do an after-hours show where we just cut loose and say it how it is, or what?
I mean, that's an idea,
Play.
but...
Okay, well, thank you everybody for joining us. This will be the end of the show. I think that, we have something good here. We'll probably have some more episodes of this. And so, do give us your feedback. Let us know whether or not you found this of value or not. And, feel free to submit your questions. AgentNorth is the instigator of this group and the leader of it, and give him some ideas for future episodes of this as to what the topics should be. I'm Marky Dragon. Take care. If you made it this far in the video, you may as well subscribe. That's what I want you to do. You obviously liked it well enough to watch it this far. So look at this. This is Frostmourne. This is the Runes of Magic sword. This Runes of Magic sword is one that we're giving away as second prize to one of you subscribers, just for being subscribed. That's all you have to do. Subscribe and accept our messages, or watch our videos where we draw for prizes. So this one is it's a really nice sword. It's signed by some of the American staff for Runes of Magic. And then there's the big boy here. I got it on my shoulder because it's so darn heavy. You know, this sucker is 16 pounds. Look at this. So it's a two-handed sword here, man. This is a beautiful sword. And we're giving this away when we hit 42,500 subscribers. It could be you. So, just subscribe. That's all you have to do. We'll do videos selecting the winners, and we'll send you a message in YouTube as long as you accept it. Just make sure you accept messages from us. To do that, put us on your contact list. And you just add Marky Dragon to your contact list, and then you'll be able to get messages from us, and you'll have 30 days to get back to us when we send you a message. Or if we can't message you, you'll just be on video, and you just gotta watch the video and then contact us. So anyway, if you made it this far, you really should subscribe, and I would appreciate it. So anyway, that's all.